Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your monthly peace report for Scorpio season 2021. This, of course, is the Peace Dealer, and I hope y'all most of quality from this webinar. Shout out to everybody who's watching this live with me. Thank you so much for your patience. I am moving forward with this form of presentation from now on. Shout out to Esco, who created this graphic. And I really hope you enjoy this PowerPoint presentation. We're definitely going to go in, and so I'll be mindful mainly of taking notes if you want to, but I made sure that I emailed the actual PowerPoint, and that's what I'm going to be doing in future for any of you who purchase this series or are part of the membership. For those of you in the YouTube membership, given that you won't receive a PowerPoint from purchase, I will put this in the Discord link. So if you are a part of the membership and would like the PowerPoint, join our Discord, link in the description box below, and you will be able to join the YouTube membership Discord and come into this. But other than that, this definitely goes a long way towards, once again, for those of you who purchase it, you're going to receive the link immediately. In future, you'll get a PowerPoint like this one, and the link to the video will be in that PowerPoint. Other than that, welcome to this Scorpio season 2021 monthly peace report, where we go into the road to apotheosis. And in this webinar, we are going to break down very, very, very expertly this life-changing transit, or let's just say extraordinarily transformational transit, that will prepare you for ascension, aka Sagittarius season. Even you being here, because when I make these PowerPoints and just hold space and just manifest my second house Gemini sun just through communicating, this in effect is a ritual that you are taking part of. And so you just listening to this is going to facilitate extreme and extraordinary transformation for you. You want to take this in mind for any monthly peace report you listen to, especially given that I will be scheduling this at the 0 degree days of each season, or at least the soonest I can do them. You want to perhaps set an intention while you're listening to me break down these transits. And if you look at it like that, you can actually look forward to seeing tangible results based off of what you intend. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, once again, here's the webinar link. Obviously, you're watching this, so you got the webinar link, but this is what you'll see when you actually purchase a webinar in future. And then once again, for those of you who are a part of the YouTube membership, this is actually what I will put in the Discord link for the Yin Yang Masters, God Squad, and Infinity Club. Are you ready? All right, let's get it. Boom. Apotheosis, the highest point in development of something, culmination or climax. Boy, his appearance as Hamlet was the apotheosis of his career. Similar to magnum opus, apotheosis, elevation to the status of God. The term from Greek apotheon, to make a god, to deify, implies a polytheistic conception of gods, while it recognizes that some individuals cross the dividing line between gods and men. Here we also see apotheosis as the glorification of a subject to divine levels, and commonly the treatment of a human being, any other living thing, or an abstract idea in the likeness of a deity. The term has meanings in theology where it refers to a belief, and in art where it refers to a genre. And once again, I just kind of want to highlight, this is exclusive information. You're not going to get this wisdom or knowledge anywhere else. So I highly, highly, highly value and appreciate you being here, regardless of, once again, this is not really about numbers to me as much as it is a service. So once again, given that this is exclusive to the membership, and for those of you who've invested, I'm putting in much value into this to go in. And there's so much wisdom that the Scorpio season is going to unveil, that if you have been following me for a while, a lot of the huge emphasis, especially coming out of 2019 into 2020 and 2021, had primarily to do with you awakening and activating superpowers. And so relative to that, now that we have awakened it since the apocalypse cycle has begun 2020 and generated the manifestation of knowledge through 2021, we are now more than ever in the position as a collective to go through this elevation and deification. This is very, very, very important, because you have been preparing your entire life for this, multiple lifetimes in the making. Apotheosis is not necessarily something that you do once in your life. Many of you may have individually come into near-death experiences or moments where you've reached the pinnacle of a certain cycle of your life. This isn't necessarily something that is done relative to you being in a position to realistically tap into so much of how you evolve. Concerning this nature and level of apotheosis, you may have even facilitated this for other people. However, what makes this process and period significant is more so that it's happening at a collective level, and whether people are ready for it or not, as a collective, we are consciously stepping into this level of crossing the threshold between gods and men. Mind you, we do this every year. There's not a single year we don't do this. We have to think cyclically. Every year we have Aries season that sparks new life. to where we make that journey into ascension on the top of the mountain in Capricorn, where winter comes through after the fall in the northern hemisphere. And we, of course, die out to that cycle before life is sprung again in Aries, even in the southern hemisphere, despite the seasons switching. That being said, what makes this cycle so very important is that, as we will uncover with the relevant transits, we are concluding a Jupiter cycle that started off with its conjunction to Uranus, that's now conjunct or manifesting in Taurus. And in that vein, this apotheosis is going to, relative to everything happening in the world, be experienced in such an intense way that once we go through this apotheosis process again next year, we will fully step into the divine, complete experience of ascending, and mainly of coming into this divine status. And so this is what brings us to the truth of Scorpio, which, along with Libra, is the gateway to the gods. Scorpio, in and of itself, which I'm convinced is a baby god or a demigod. For people who are born with their sun in Scorpios, or even moon in Scorpio, the progression into Sagittarius is the beginning of God consciousness. And this is where we break down a little bit the etymology, not of the word Scorpio, so I probably shouldn't have said etymology, but mainly the nature of Scorpio, where we see, of course, once again, with Libra and Scorpio being the gateway to the gods, the individual zodiac signs are Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. The individuality relates to a younger age where we're more self-focused and self-absorbed, expanding our conscious awareness of our immediate environment to make our way through into the world. But first, through our own identity. Then you have the social zodiac signs: Leo, Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio. And relative to the social zodiac signs, this is the application of our individuality coming into integration, enabling you to express your individuality with other people who express their individuality in social situations. We must look at Scorpio specifically because this is the final social zodiac sign. This is the final process of socialization. Think about it. Leo is the light. This is the daytime when you go out, versus Scorpio at the end of the night when socialization is finished and it's time to have sex. Because you finished coming out from the club, or you finished your outing after you took someone out, Libra, and Scorpio ends with intimacy, sex, and they say sleep is the cousin of death. So that could be it too, leading into Pisces of bedroom pleasures. And here's how we see that duality between the socialization process that starts in Leo and ends in Scorpio. Scorpio is definitively a mystery here because, as some will say, is the true final zodiac sign. This ending this socialization process and also ending the life cycle leads into new life in Sagittarius, where after you have transformed, or rather perfected, your behavior and lifestyle, you balance off the scales in Libra to cut off the fat dead weight, and you burn and transform that energy off through Scorpio. thus ascending with what's left. And so, why this is very important is that we really need to take into consideration the significance between this threshold of passing into the gateway of the gods, purifying through Scorpio before ascension and apotheosis comes in Sagittarius. As a fixed sign, this charges pure nuclear energy that was gained from Aries to Libra individually into the social axis of social interactions. And of course, as a water sign, this is now taking the individual feelings in Cancer and in complex ways, taking note of how social integrations of multiple feelings create for a more dynamic and complex psychology. And so, bearing all this in mind, the intensity and transformation of this Scorpio season is going to bring some of the most unconventional and extraordinary transformation you have ever experienced in your entire life. Dare I say, lifetimes, especially taking into account that relative to this nature of the Scorpio season, we are getting prepared for the South Node to actually enter Scorpio and fully unlock this pure energy, as well as uncover and expose hidden secrets that were outside of your conscious awareness up until now. And as such, this season will bring you to confront deep-seated blockages and psychological blockages that you can make peace with before you ascend into the fire of light. Because the collective God signs are Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. This is where we take things literally to the next level. After ground level analysis in Virgo, we ascend into a higher philosophical meaning, and we finish off in Pisces, dreaming of what could be based off of a year's worth of analyzation, and we do it all over again with higher stakes, all cyclical. That being said, what is influencing this transit into the land of the gods, literally stepping into Sagittarius, Mount Olympus, is, of course, the intensity of this transformational transit, which, mind you, the reason why they're the God signs is because they're collective, pertaining to everything. Whereas socials are individuals socializing, collectives are concert halls where many different social interactions can occur, but also speaking to phenomena and events that occur throughout the whole world, thus influencing an entire collective. Hence, this is why this is correlated to God, because God is the totality. That being said, you are also coming into, with this Saturn and Jupiter and Aquarius, knowledge of your awakened God self. As Pluto is awakening in Capricorn, the self-realization of your own collective self in the context of a collective world, awakening your own collective authority, or the collective authority around you to harness and access. That being said, we know that Scorpio season is going to bring us the square to Aquarius and the opposition to Uranus, making the relationships this season super unconventional, while also dealing with the cosmic understanding of the collective authority and knowledge that has been derived. relative to the cycle that started in February. Scorpio season is closing this third quarter square out by, after the analysis of facts that transformed our understanding of the false and true narratives, the wisdom based off of that experience to transform our understanding of said knowledge. Boom, bada boom, bing, boom. Neptune is going to be trining Scorpio. So this wisdom is going to intensely align you to this metaphysical, supernatural sense of intuition that will strengthen the quality of your imagination and deepen your own psychological, psychic talents. Many of you with this Neptune trine alone will take mastered supernatural abilities and transcend your ability to creatively express them. Given that Scorpio deals with pure energy, this is taking that mastery of technique and just adding more intensity to the energy involved in your mastery of these abilities. And of course, we have the King Kunks to both the North Node and Chiron, which is transforming and integrating vulnerability and masculinity and destiny. And how much more intimately you express the truth and are destined to do that as well. That being said, as we now step into this PowerPoint, we are going to look into briefly, before we go into the zodiac signs, how this Scorpio season will affect the elements. And for the fire signs, this is going to influence a very unique sense of exposing and understanding your own unconscious and intimate psychological experiences, as well as the energy that brings you deeper into being able to trust other people. And so we'll see Aries season, this Aries is transforming this Scorpio season intimacy. Leo is going to be transforming home and what they consider home and who they consider home. And Sagittarius is going to be transforming their spirituality and exposing unconscious habits that may get in their way. We'll see that the earth signs are transforming their connections with other people. Taurus, their partnerships. Virgo, their attitude and skill sets. And Capricorn, their friendships with other people and sense of belonging. The air signs will be transforming elements of their own ability to come into practical success, with Gemini transforming their lifestyle, Libra transforming their finances, and Aquarius transforming their career. And finally, the water signs will be stepping in to transform elements of their own self. Of course, Cancer transforming their talents and creative expression, Scorpio transforming their identity and personality, and of course, Pisces transforming their philosophical beliefs. That being said, here are the relevant transits that we are going to experience coming this Scorpio season. We also need to take into account the Pluto sextile that Scorpio will have with the sun, as this is going to make us aware of how much more wise and psychologically strong we are relative to the awakening that occurred both 2020 in January and also 2021 in January, as this will actually come into you completing so much more wisdom and strength physically, bearing in this psychological development. That being said, as we step into the transits, Scorpio season is going to start off with, of course, the quincunx between the sun and the north node in Gemini. This is actually going to take place tomorrow relative to our recording of this today. And this opening quincunx is going to fully integrate this beginning of wisdom that we're understanding the enlightened truth of, to incorporate this alignment of truth with the North Node and already start the transit, putting into place the nature and direction of where you're focusing this pure energy and transformation towards. It's actually going to be super subtle, but perhaps bring some of the greatest unconventional transformation, in that your awareness with the sun relative to what house this falls in for you, of the first lesson and level of awakening to this intensity, will align you with conversations, ideas, and epiphanies that very uniquely and strongly influence how you perceive what it is you're coming into, especially stepping into Scorpio season. A transit like that is going to be felt rather intensely, as the nature of the actions you took socially with others, cardinally in Libra, prepare to intensify and deepen, manifesting the wisdom of such. It's very important too, when you look at astrology transits, you can look at them in threes per season: Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo, Leo, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, Cap, Aqua, and Pisces. And so this middle aspect here with Scorpio is the intensification as we strengthen the actions we started this fall season with, before we close the season out and produce the effect of this intensification. And so this is going to transform a lot of your dynamics. Remember, Scorpio correlates to the eighth house, which correlates to intimacy and dealing with other people, hence boundaries that are drawn. And so relative to Libra season, with Mercury retrograde that changed the way you communicate socially with people, this is going to transform instantly dynamics between your dealings with other people and align more with truth, how you communicate a lot more intensely. Certain individuals who you might have felt intimidated around may feel intimidated towards you. This is where this is very subtle, and it has the potential to flip on its head any kind of psychological manipulation done impurely towards you to kind of put said people in their place. I want to emphasize this once again. Given its alignment with destiny, the North Node in Gemini will be completely transforming social connections with others in this more deep and somewhat controversial way. This is that type of transit where you talk to someone older than you in a saucy way. And that goes against traditional standards where it's like you're supposed to respect your elders, but truthfully, that elder was acting out of integrity, and you may have to, align them with the truth. That's just one example. Doesn't have to apply like that, but it's going to set the tone very uniquely for the Scorpio season. And it is a bit of a collective test to make sure that in your expression of your deeper, purer, transformation of self, you don't compromise to sugarcoat what you're expressing because it's intense, and align it with the truth, no matter who it offends. That being said, the next relevant transit is going to be the closing square of the sun to Saturn in Aquarius. This, of course, takes part of the Scorpio square to Aquarius with Saturn and Jupiter. The intensity and pressure of karma with Saturn and destiny, but more so expansion or fortune with Jupiter, Fortuna, is what takes the intensity of this wisdom and derives more unconventional or extraordinary knowledge of that wisdom. But we have to take into account that we had the conjunction in Aquarius, then we had the square to ground that knowledge in Taurus, then we had the opposition in August to complete that knowledge through creative expression in Leo, and now we're completing the square with Scorpio, which is just going to put into place false narratives and social nuances between people who indirectly or passive aggressively put up this sense of coolness when they're not cool at all. And so friction like this is going to take the more pure element of your expression in the face of a detached sense of what you should be doing, because Saturn brings that karma, but also authority versus what is authentic for you to do. The presence of Mars entering Scorpio is going to instantly change the tone, as this purifies a lot of action too, and in its coming square with Saturn challenges you to follow through with that purity. And it's going to be really tense around this period, because decisions made through Libra will be intensified as there's more at stake, but also as this prepares to transform now after being grounded in Taurus, the higher wisdom with the light of the sun that makes you aware of how to overcome said karmic limitations with this greater wisdom. And we have to respect Scorpio as the zodiac sign of wisdom represents not only the fear of the Lord, which is the beginning of the wisdom, but also the understanding you gain after experience. What makes something wise is learning from experience. And this is why Scorpio comes after the analysis of the real experience of Virgo, where it's synthesized through debate and conversation, socialized in Libra, and then, of course, deepened through Scorpio. So this is going to be a great breakthrough, especially in terms of how much more deeper your interactions with global authorities are, and especially what rules are clapped back on or enforced, for better or for worse. But we want to take into account this closing square, because after this closing square, this is going to lead us into the conjunction in February. And so this is where, once again, relative to the conjunction last February, we had the conjunction beginning of that cycle, which set the knowledge of what karma we're completing. We had the first quarter square to ground how that higher knowledge takes place individually, physically in our lives. And then we completed how we socially express this creatively. And now we're coming into the final wisdom. that will really actually have many of you sort through the deeper understanding of how to transform into success. So you have 7 days from now coming into great success with this. This leads, of course, next to the closing quincunx with Chiron and Aries. Chiron that is going to be at the first decan of Aries for the last time, because once it goes direct, we're not going to see this come back into the first decan, I don't believe. And so we don't want to underestimate Chiron's influence with Scorpio, because this closing quincunx is going to bring miraculous transformation relative to the conjunction in Aries and the opposition in Libra. We have to respect that Chiron in Aries is a stark contrast from the passive aggressive and more peaceful but indirect energy or experience in Pisces. This is now manifesting based off of that change in belief, action that's defining your character. The vulnerability to masculine, the vulnerability to assert yourself, or rather the vulnerability to assert your masculinity and heal your character, is bearing in this new transit that is transmuting elements of your own fire and spirit of identity for you to actually harness, making Chiron very so much a key. This plays out extraordinarily so regarding your ego's reaction to other egos that may clash with your own, and how you stand firm in your value instead of enabling wounds or your own shadow to trigger. Ironically, you standing firm in your own value reflexively will get other people who are insecure to be triggered. I'm going to say this one more again. Chiron in Aries is healing the vulnerability to stand in your own masculine assertion of character, in your inability to stand firm, because Aries does not play that. Aries doesn't play these games where people can have their cake and eat it too. And Aries, even though it is a childish, childlike vibration, with that, will want the last word. And so, in your inability to be secure in yourself, you will be triggered by other people and their willingness to clash with your ego. If you decide to be secure in yourself and recognize that other people's opinions have nothing to do with you, only your actions define you. What other people think and gang up with others have nothing to do with you. In their inability to accept that, they, in their insecurity, will react very extremely to your own security. And that is a good thing, because you will inversely see how powerful you are relative to how much more extremely insecure others are with your own security. Obviously, in the event that both parties are secure, this promotes more growth and thus transformation. And so the Libra opposition completed this cycle of growth and healing, enabling you to express classically how much more powerful you balance this. That being said, the awareness of Scorpio here will break you through completely in dealing with the more psychological, manipulative aspects of social interaction, where in response to this element of your assertion of character and security, you expose passive aggressive manipulative tactics from others who wish to psychologically reinforce this security with their own negative reactions, even if to indirectly undermine your own confidence in yourself. This is everything that, because you've done the work, will not only expose such without you having to say a word, but also do a lot to now reveal the insecurity laden in others who passive aggressively have issues with you. This is so very important because this is going to take into account dynamics with people who you may not even be aware feel a certain way, but because you'll now start to telegraph this in the nature of their actions, you will be able to, with Mercury and Libra, deal with it swiftly, confront and address this swiftly. And these are why these are challenging aspects. As you deal with this tension, you come out more powerful, more strong, and especially coming over the limitations projected by open enemies who at this point are cowards, because that's a lot of what this transit is going to reveal. How most people who have issues with you are so intimidated by your growth, they're more willing to talk about you behind your back instead of to you. Because if they had any issues, and I want to make sure we're clear here, oppositions, squares, quincunxes represent other people. So that's why I'm talking about other people you have issues with relative to where the sun is. This is going to be around criticisms with and from other people. And so that being said, you're going to really come into more how you're combating projection from people who may clearly have issues with you or your philosophy. And clearly, if they do, then they should confront you and talk to you about it. But they're afraid of you. And some of you may not really believe that certain people are afraid of you or intimidated of you. And so clearly they may act like they don't have a problem, but they care enough to talk and gossip about you behind your back. These are the things that are going to be completely exposed. And with the presence of Uranus opposite it, you might be surprised at maybe how obsessed. Remember, Scorpio deals with obsessive energy with Pluto, about how obsessed certain people or instances are. And once again, if said forces or influences didn't care that much about it, then they wouldn't obsessively gossip or think or talk about you behind your back. And so this is going to reveal issues that are not your problem. The Chiron quincunx will enable you to cut the fat and release what is not your problem and to draw boundaries. Do not allow people with their projections to make their issues with you your problem. Okay. I think this is going to be one of the most empowering breakthroughs this season. And once again, it all happens in the first decan of Pluto that enables us to transform before we step into the second decan of Neptune, where we transcend. That brings us to the new moon, 12 degrees in Scorpio, opposite Uranus. For those of you who are present, if you wouldn't mind sharing some feedback about this webinar so far, I want to make sure that this method of presentation is efficient for you, and compared to previous installments, you're actually enjoying this. I really hope that I'm explaining these transits well. I'm personally looking forward to this method of presentation. Plus, I think it's kind of fun. That being said, this new moon in Scorpio in the second decan of Scorpio is going to speak primarily of stepping into the most unconventional transformation that you will ever have experienced in your whole life. By the way, thank you very much for the kind words. And as we move forward, Venus finishing its transit out of the South Node, 29 degrees of Sagittarius, sextile Mercury will bring an ascended mastery of seeing into the higher meaning of where you're getting ready to direct very key and important partnerships, especially as Mercury will enable you the ability to directly communicate this with relevant people as this all forms. And I cannot emphasize enough how very, very, very relevant this new moon alone is going to influence the nature and quality of how you personally incorporate the deeper mastery of the manifestation of your supernatural abilities in relationships with other people. Scorpio, correlating to the 8th house, is the results of partnership. And so, relative to the new partnerships or the new cycles of partnerships you're moving forward in, the deeper, more intimate energy that is manifested and the wisdom that's manifested is opposite Uranus, going to denote an unconventional explosion. Remember, new moon cycles are cycles. So this is going to be a new cycle of transformation where your apotheosis process begins officially. With Mars, let's not forget, that's going to incorporate a pure fusion of your supernatural power. You want to think of Mars as a literal power bank that's going to intensify the nature of what boundaries are drawn and classic transformation, how much deeper you tap into this. The opposition of Uranus and Taurus is now going to induce physiological transformation that will deepen how much more physically you actually feel extremely this transformation. This is a fancy way of saying that the nuclear depth of deification that's occurring to awaken to your higher self will physically and tangibly manifest actual physical transformations you will begin to see once we step into this cycle. It's going to be square Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, Saturn in the first decan, Jupiter in the third. So with the new moon in the second, this balances off some set of being able to immediately expand the knowledge of what cycle we're stepping into while anchoring what collective karmic lessons will challenge how we take this purer manifestation of our relationships and align it with what's happening in the world. That leads to now the closing trine to Neptune 8 days later. This from new moon to closing trine is going to intensify. And we have to speak on this a little bit because the lunar cycle coming out from the new moon in Scorpio will immediately manifest ascension in Sag and set the order to direct the flow of this pure energy through our bodies and awaken power in Cap. Then we'll have the quarter square in Aquarius, which will have us understand the knowledge of this wisdom we've activated, stepping us out of the first quarter square, activating this pure energy into now integrating through the moon in Pisces that will immediately align the intuitive understanding of this transformation to literal metaphysical realms of existence. Having you feel with the moon in Pisces what's happening outside of your physical ability to perceive this metaphysical phenomena, and through the vibe, through your dreams, through very supernatural paranormal experiences, reveal and expose almost everything in your life up to this point that has been hidden. And we want to say this relative to the Sun conjunction we had in Neptune Pisces 2021. This is now that 9th house ascension aspect that's going to literally bring to light the secrets that have occurred through the collective illusions that have seeked to deceive you versus the intuitive revelations you've received relative to this cycle of transcending the higher cosmic knowledge of your life. This sounds profound because it literally is. Mercury is going to be opposite Uranus retrograde, which is going to unconventionally draw forth the extra dimensional genius at a quantum level of legitimately adding supernatural properties to your mind's ability to process this pure element of conscious awareness and experience. And so it's going to take the brain cognitive quality of your mind and enable you to harness your psychic ability at the deepest, purest levels possible for you. This is a high intense, focused quality of season. If you're doing workouts, you're going to hit the gym so much more intensely than normal and push yourself. Hence, not only bringing transformation, but you're going to see this in your body. You're going to see this in your body quicker than you would any other season. And this is with Neptune going to incorporate metaphysical phenomena that will be grounded practically in order for you to transform how you even understand abstract phenomena that there may not even be a word for until you create it here. One of the most important transits is this trine, because this is definitely going to bring into alignment intuitive understandings of synchronicities, dreams, and deeper meanings that you have been downloading for years. And that leads us into the closing square with Jupiter. This is perhaps going to be one of the last major Jupiter aspects before Jupiter weasels its way into fishy Pisces. Yeah, there's going to be the Sagittarius aspect, as that's going to be a very, very, very magical sextile. But this square, I think, is going to take the cake, especially with the moon in Aries. That's going to immediately activate within this raw, original understanding of how you are expanding the deeper synthesis of the knowledge that comes out due to the wisdom that has been revealed. This is definitely going to have you sort through in this expanding social circle of friends who more you can trust. Because the Libra trine to Jupiter was like coming into a social circle and meeting someone new who knows so many other new people. And so it's being able to network with so many new people. But then by Scorpio season, it's okay, I've come in to meet like 10 new people, but only 4 to 5 of them are super trustworthy. And like now we can connect deeper. This is going to actually break you through. Given that the sun is 10th house to Saturn and Jupiter, especially for you Aquarius risings, total career success. And so you can actually gain a lot of benefit. It's just with the tension of the square, it's going to have to immediately be allocated so not to dissipate without being of any use or without really kind of coming into understanding. But given that the sun moves faster than Jupiter, the awareness of this evolution will exalt the efforts of transformation to intensify how much more you're transforming. We need to put this in context because if there was no Jupiter here, yeah, we would finish the cycle, but there's not going to be this unconventional push to the next level that with the square makes it so much more uncomfortable. It's like you're coming into this wisdom, and then Jupiter is like, so much expansive knowledge about a subject that now you have to figure out how to integrate all that wisdom based on an influx of knowledge you may not have been expecting to come into that huge. Thankfully, this will be gradual as it moves a degree, and it's not all going to hit at once, but this is going to be the climax. And leading into the sextile of Pluto, mind you, not the opening sextile and square, but the closing sextile and square. The opening sextile and square happened with, of course, Aries or Taurus and Aries, or Pisces with the sextile and Taurus with the square. And so relative to that opening square, we were grounding knowledge of Aquarius into individual values. The closing square is wrapping up that process. Whereas the closing sextile, 11th house to Pluto, relative to the conjunction in Pluto, is bringing us a completion of this awakening process, coming into the wisdom of what we've learned and how you're going to manifest much of your intent from January that you'll begin to see before it transcends in Sagittarius, because now you manifested what you intended, and now you're having to change your beliefs around it because now you're literally at another level. Finally, of course, we end the transit off with the full moon. By this point, Mars, that was 3 degrees, will now be opposite Uranus, which is a fantastic symbolization of an entire cycle of intensifying the deeper transformation of your own supernatural abilities. At 27 degrees, also making part of an eclipse, this is going to be a sneak peek of the North Node actually entering Taurus and getting ready to anchor the values you're releasing in order to intensify more what you desire socially, as well as a correlating of natural energy to intensify pure in Scorpio. Nonetheless, this kicks off a full moon harvest transit from moon in Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. Ew. And Virgo. And this mastery of completion with the full moon is going to harvest all of the physical strength needed to complete the transformation relative to the apotheosis of ascension we're going to experience. The last two relevant aspects we're going to see here are, of course, the yod with Mercury and Venus that will come into the North Node. After the new moon, Venus is going to enter Capricorn and immediately begin to construct and organize the relevant relationships that Libra brought together and your belief about ascended in order to, do very powerful and important things. This is, of course, before the retrograde that will completely reorganize your social. Like, there's certain people you're hanging out with now that you'll never see again. And there's certain people who you think you will never talk to that are about to be like your workmates, because Venus is going to completely reorganize the nature of who you connect with. It's going to be very extreme and somewhat unpredictable. And so this cardinal action of Venus is sextiling the pure energy and deeper psychological processing and psychoanalysis of Scorpio to focus the strength and power into the influence of the perceptual enlightenment with Gemini, in that the nature of how you think will be influenced by the wisdom of Scorpio and the incredible power of Capricorn. And this is going to, relative to where it falls in your chart, align you with a major epiphany of what truth to align the direction of these partnerships with Venus and how much more intensely you apply that direction. Very, very key. We're also going to see, of course, the conjunction cycle of Mars and Mercury in Scorpio. And with it close enough being into Uranus, major epiphanies, the square to Moon and Saturn will anchor a new way to think about how you exert this pure energy through your psychic power and instantly align it with your neural pathways. Instantly, of course, with the challenge of the square, integrate it with how collectively this fits into the narrative of what's going on in the world. So that being said, that wraps up the transits we will be going through. And now we are going to step into looking at how this will affect the zodiac signs. Please be aware that this can apply for your rising, your sun. Your moon sign will have you see how this feels, but you can also see perhaps relative to what house this falls, how this may also help you too. Mainly for Aries sun and risings, this Scorpio season is going to step you into extraordinary intimacy, and the transformation through the eighth house will really go a long way to incorporate a unique understanding of how much deeper you connect with others relative to this expansion of friendships with Jupiter in your 11th. Saturn is weeding out the friends in your 11th. And as we'll see that closing square, you're going to be very primarily more insightful of who you can trust. And this is going to be a major weeding out process because you want to be very clear to draw boundaries, as Saturn will challenge this viciously. The new moon in your eighth, opposite Uranus, will open up unconventionally investment channels and make you aware of how you can multiply unconventionally your income, open up self employment, as well as take the radical manifestation of your own value in order to find people to more intimately invest in or deal with. And of course, with Pluto in your 10th, as you're developing this deeper transformation and intimacy, this will awaken greater success in your career, so that by the time we step into the full moon in Taurus, this will release insecurities around your value so that you can more confidently draw these boundaries and take your full power back, Aries. Taurus, Scorpio, of course, is going to be in your 7th house of partnerships. And relative to this pure transformation, Saturn and Jupiter in your 10th house are bringing a lifelong success upgrade that for the next 30 years will solidify the work you've done to establish your legacy and the greater knowledge that will have you be known in this world, or the exploits that'll have you be known in this world. And so with the closing square to Saturn, you're going to see how the relationships that are forming enable you to succeed in your career or block you from doing so. And what about those partnerships need to transform? The new moon will be opposite you. And so this will be bridging the eccentric awakening of your own genius to step you into a new cycle of partnerships that purely match, respect, and honor how you're evolving. This will bring a lot of intensity in your partnerships as you're manifesting destiny with the North Node in your 2nd, that enables you, in some cases, to make some of the most extraordinary transformations in existing partnerships and either step into a new cycle with them or step into a new cycle with someone new. The sextile between Pluto and the Sun will incorporate this transformative nature of your beliefs and philosophy, and how relationships conclude on what you've awakened about your beliefs, as this is a lot more tangibly experienced. And the full moon in your sign will unlock and release, leading into the North Node in your sign, a definitive understanding of yourself that will powerfully unlock so much more depth in your partnerships with other people. Gemini, Scorpio is your 6th house. And so, especially for the risings, you will never live your life ever the same again after this Scorpio season. You're stepping into some of the most definitive behavioral transformation that will unlock psychological latent processes that you can harness to completely pimp out your entire routine. the closing square with Saturn and the Sun will now take elements of your own philosophy and break you through in ways you can apply transformations into your behavior to come into a greater understanding of how this matches your beliefs, enabling you to walk your talk like never before. And the new moon opposite your 12th is going to release the unconscious habits, just like during the full moon, that sabotage you in order to start this new cycle, transforming your lifestyle. It's going to take the unconventional supernatural abilities manifested to literally deepen the quality of how much purer you change your life. And because we have Pluto in your 8th, this is going to bring so much deeper intimacy with others and how you take your power back. Because by this point, this transformation of lifestyle enables you so much more ability to transform your dealings with others. In that old habits won't get in the way of your dealings with others. And the full moon in Taurus will complete this process by fully removing unconscious habits and stubborn qualities to fully manifest this completion and transformation in your lifestyle. Cancer. Scorpio is your 5th house. And so relative to this application of your inner child, you are going to step into the deeper creativity of your own heart and how much more uniquely you're in a position to realistically tap into this nature of your talents and how much more extraordinarily you transform and evolve your talents relative to how you bridge that in your dealings with others. And so seeing that Saturn is in your 8th, giving you the karmic challenge to draw boundaries because of the collective influence you're stepping into, the Sun squaring this will challenge how much more confidently you can express this level of creativity to people who you're dealing with. This will break through so much more intimacy moving forward that enables you to come into so much more confidence expressing your gifts. And the new moon in your 5th opposite Uranus is going to bring this unconventional evolution of your support group and friends to really make radical how much more you step into this new cycle of creativity. Please understand that this is also a romance cycle. And so Uranus can and may induce love at first sight, especially as Venus coming out of your 6th into your 7th house in Capricorn will prepare for very incredible unions to form. And the sextile with the Sun in your 5th to Pluto in your 7th will apply this pure sense of creativity in order to transform your partnerships with others so much more dynamically. And Cancer, let's just be real, like you're going through exorcisms and spiritual attack with these people. So this is going to bring your gifts and enable you to put people in their place and clap back on sight. The full moon is going to release old influences, acquaintances, and old values regarding where you belong and your friends in order for you to focus more on this completion of pure creative breakthrough. And Cancer, all power to you. Leo, we have private revelations. Scorpio is your 4th house. And so this is going to take the Taurus season manifestation of your legacy relative to the expansion of your relationships with Jupiter in your 7th. And it's going to manifest the deeper understanding of how this manifestation of legacy influences your inner world and who you can privately enjoy this success with, if you can enjoy it at all, because you got that controlled opposition. And with that square with the Sun in your 4th to your 7th, you may find that you can't trust people with your private life. There's certain people who you can't really bring into your private life. And that's going to challenge why they're even in your life in the first place. While Saturn will be, of course, testing how you deal with this and put you in a position to really come into so much more comfort while being completely pushed out your comfort zone, especially with the element of Uranus opposite this new cycle in your fourth, that will take unconventional career success and open the door to transform how you take that natural success and pimp your own pad with it. This doesn't have to be as simple as just using money to expand your home space. This is stepping into a deeper understanding of your family and your home. And this new moon will open up very controversial revelations that maybe might have been secrets kept from people private to you. With Pluto in your sixth house, as you apply this deeper understanding to awakening the transformation of your lifestyle, this deepening of wisdom regarding your inner world will intensify how much more intense, how much more powerful you bring into form this incredible element of your behavior so that you can own more of your lifestyle. And the full moon will release any misunderstandings or old values about your success and career so that you can apply this more to this deepening of your own inner world to push you out of your comfort zone. Virgo, we're looking at a transformation of abilities. Given that Scorpio is your third house of attitude and skill set, relative to the Pisces transit relative to the Taurus transit that manifested this grounded nature of your philosophy, you're going to be applying those beliefs in social situations through the wisdom of Scorpio. And this is going to transform the way you teach what you learned. This is going to be very important because you're going to find that the way you express your skill sets now take into account this evolution through your own season of how much more magical and powerful you are. That closing square now from the 6th to the 3rd is going to begin the process as we close the cycle of integrating this transformation of abilities into the advanced techniques that Jupiter and Saturn are ushering in your 6th house. Because this is completely changing the game in how you live your life, the sun in Scorpio is going to make you aware of how purer you can transform your attitude in order to match where you are manifesting this authority of the advanced habits in your life. And as such, this new moon will open you into a new cycle of expressing this pure element of your attitude so much more deep. This in and of itself is going to evolve considerably your emotional intelligence and how you communicate to other people, saying less and conveying so much more. This will open up telepathy. Uranus in the 9th will take this unconventionally grounded philosophy and begin to practically express this in ways that really blow other people's minds and how much you more purely you can communicate with people. The sextile between your 3rd house and 5th house will apply this definition and transformation of your abilities to be more extremely expressed through your talents so that you fully express this transformation more incredibly. And the full moon will release, of course, outdated philosophies that get in the way of you more owning up this new cycle of your attitude and the way you think. Libra, you have Scorpio in the 2nd house, and this will have you manifest pure wealth. As such, just like every year, you'll come into strengthening the psychology around your own self-esteem and your finances. However, because you have Saturn and Jupiter in your 5th, the knowledge that you're fully expressing will overcome criticism and maybe opposition between what science you're establishing. especially because other people don't know things like they think they do. And so this is going to strengthen so much your own confidence in what you do, since you're manifesting a greater level of wisdom that you'll be able to monetize in pure wealth that doesn't even have to be limited to just money. And so that square to Saturn in your fifth, if we think the fifth house is the confidence of self-expression, that is entirely influenced by how much confidence you have in yourself. So if you have a weak second house, you're going to have a weak fifth house. If I have a weak sense of self-esteem, then when I perform my fifth house on stage, I'm just not going to feel that confident because I already don't value myself. But if I have a strong second house and I'm very confident in my self-esteem, then I'm going to rock it on stage. And that's what the square between the second and the fifth house is. Saturn is going to challenge you with this sense of limitation relative to how strong you can overcome inhibitions from outside influences on your self-esteem. And this is going to strengthen how much more you raise the value of what you manifest. And that new moon is going to take unconventional dealings with other people and trusting in physical resources for you to manifest this new cycle of wealth, and how you transform your understanding of this accordingly as well. Very, very important transit, especially with the sextile to Pluto out of the second house to the fourth house. That will deepen the translation of this manifestation of value to awaken more independence within your own home, to coral so much of what you're manifesting into more deeply your inner world. And as such, you will be releasing the lack of trust or trust issues that enable you to manifest so much more wisdom and value. In fact, that moon in the eighth house may even attract who you can trust. Similar to Aries, this opens up so much great investment channels for self-employment, and especially investments in cryptocurrency, stock, real estate. Um, this is going to be insane because I feel like for some of you, you can exponentially raise your income in ways that even you don't expect, and completely just raise your portfolio like never before. Scorpio, of course, this Scorpio season is going to be in your sign, and this is going to be transforming your own reawakening to self. Because remember, now Saturn is in your fourth. And so you're coming into karmic lessons of understanding your cosmic ancestry with Jupiter evolving your comfort zone, enabling you to derive the knowledge of your own self and your family so much more deep. And so now how you identify yourself relative to this challenge of understanding where you come from and evolving your understanding of this family is going to add so much uniqueness to, with Uranus in your seventh, how you manifest that eccentricity with other people. And that square to Saturn is going to challenge very greatly how this sense of yourself rests upon the foundation of what karma you apply to your own family. This could be very difficult, especially if you have issues with your own family, and especially if you have issues trusting people in your own private world. That new moon opposite Uranus is also going to use the unconventional energy brewing with your relationships with others to step you into a new cycle of self-expression relative to these partnerships that are challenging you to do so, especially when it comes to dealing with a new way that the collective perceives you and seeing how your sense of self must not compromise your own uniqueness in order to make other people feel comfortable. You still must do what you want and be you. That sextile to Pluto in your third is now coming into this definition of self, going to intensify the transformation of your attitude. This apotheosis process for you, Scorpio, starts with your own personality, and that full moon in Taurus will release toxic influences or old partnerships or how you show up in partnerships to now harvest more this completion of transformation of you. Sagittarius, Scorpio is your 12th house. And so this will deal more primarily with the transcending of unconscious habits. This 12th house axis is going to release old beliefs that may induce sabotage. And with the sun here, make you aware of hidden enemies that are kind of enabling these habits, and also hidden unconscious beliefs that get in your own way of being yourself. And so that square to Saturn in your third is going to take the awareness of these 12th house unconscious beliefs and integrate this with this cosmic strengthening of your attitude, especially considering that Jupiter in your third has been evolving your skills all year to network, communicate, write, and to just be overall a gangster and a badass, especially in connecting with the collective. Shout out to Tribe Dance Collective. And so you're going to be aware of unconscious habits that get in the way of you thinking cosmically and tapping into your abilities. But Scorpio will also transcend the nature of your abilities to higher divine levels with the wisdom of experience that shows you less of what you have to do and more of what you can do. And so the opposition of Uranus from 6th house to 12th is taking the unconventional development of a very genius lifestyle you're manifesting in order to step into a new cycle of pure spirituality that incorporates the supernatural behavioral manifestation into your life and into how you become this through that transcendent level of wisdom. And I can't believe I put that into words, because this is so supernatural, my friend, that the way you tap into this will fundamentally transform the way you even do anything. That's why Sagittarius is going to come in and you're going to literally ascend your personality, and that South Node will unlock a sense of yourself you've never seen your whole life. And that's going to come from taking these hidden beliefs that you may not be the most aware of because they're unconscious, making you fully aware of them and releasing them. That Pluto sextile from 12th to 2nd house will also awaken a much more powerful sense of confidence, because you're going to release unconscious habits that get in the way of owning up to your value, and translate more of that wisdom to manifest your supernatural abilities so much more supernaturally, basically just by feeling and thinking about it through the conduit of you as a visual creator. And so the full moon will release outdated habits that you've outgrown in order to facilitate this full-on becoming and transformation of your spirituality. Capricorn, you're going to be manifesting pure friendships with Scorpio in your 11th house of material gains from career and also acquaintances and belonging. This is important because you are manifesting with Jupiter and Saturn more wealth. The network is the 2nd house. And so this is perhaps some of the best period to network market, especially when we take into account the karmic lessons of Saturn that is strengthening the value of what you're manifesting as Jupiter is expanding how much you can manifest. It's literally expanding your network, expanding your ability to make money, but it's also challenging you to expand the integrity of your self-esteem. So Saturn may be limiting how much confident you feel in yourself. And that sun square is going to make you aware of how you own up to that value in your social circle of friends with other people. What kind of friends add to your value and what friends take away? That's what the square is going to show you on that day. And the opposition of Uranus from your 5th to 11th will take the unconventional manifestation of your creative abilities in order to step you into this new cycle of manifesting success. And opening up new friendships or a new cycle of how you bridge these with existing friendships. I'm going in. The Pluto in your sign will also take the sun in the 11th sextile to greatly influence how this friendship and influence on you influences your character and awakens you more. Remember, the 11th house can really represent each friend bringing a bit of what we hope and wish for, because teamwork makes the dream work. And so this is definitely going to incorporate such a deeper understanding of how you come into the greater definition and awakening of yourself as an instrument or power of Pluto, whether you're Cap rising or Sun. And so the full moon in Taurus is going to take the release of your inner child and your creative abilities in order to be used as a resource to more deepen your connection with your friends. It's like you're taking what you're good at and you're using that to deepen your friendships, Capricorn. Boom, bam, biggie. Aquarius, you are coming into pure career success, especially when we take into account the nature of how since February you have been evolving very considerably. And not just very considerably, you've been put in a position to realistically align with this sense of stepping into the new age of Aquarius as you evolve, the karmic limitations that come into the responsibility of you being a celestial. And if you're an Aquarius rising, high king or queen. With great nobility comes great responsibility, since the words you think can actually influence cosmic forces that affect everyone collectively. So there's certain things that you have to kind of go through with this Saturn square, and the sun in your 10th house is going to make you very aware of the completion of this evolution of self and what kind of success your evolution is enabling you to transform in what you come into as far as career success. And so that sun square Saturn will literally show you how much more you have succeeded relative to the karmic limitations that are strengthening your own sense of self. Saturn in your fourth is a karmic limitation. It's literally like starting a new brand. So you're going to see with the sun square how your brand is doing. And this is going to make you aware of how pure your career has to be to match how much more serious you as a person are becoming. This also applies with Jupiter in the terms of expression and evolution. The new moon with Uranus in your fourth is taking this unconventional grounding of values in your own inner world to step into this new cycle of success. And not just new cycle of success, but also put you in a position to realistically open up a pure transformation cycle of stepping into new elements of what's even possible for your career. The unconventional nature of Uranus is going to add a lot of very supernatural and unexpected windfall of income. But with the sun closing sextile with Pluto in your 12th, you have to be mindful that this is also still closing off that Pluto cycle in your 12th house, and how career success can trigger unconscious habits within you, but really bring greater closure into where you're taking your career. 10th house sextile 12th house transits aren't necessarily the easiest to describe if you're not entirely clear on what your 12th house is for you. And so this transit will give you so much pure awareness of how to sort things in preparation for the sun conjunct Pluto transit in your 12th. And the full moon will release old values around your inner world so that you can fully complete this harvest of success in your 10th and break through like never before. Speaking of breakthrough, Pisces, you're coming into a super unconventional philosophical breakthrough that will really transform the way you apply your beliefs moving forward, because Jupiter and Saturn are in your 12th. And so next year, you're going to step very magically into a brand new 12-year cycle that's going to bring closure for the past 12 years that saw you facilitate such a divine transcendence for an entire collective, which is not easy at all. So with the sun in your ninth, this is going to ascend this nature of philosophy relative to the conjunction the sun made in Neptune in your sign, which started a very transcendent cycle of shapeshifting more and also connecting you as a conduit to the spiritual astral realm. Being that you are the ascended master and leader of supernatural abilities, in that your conscious awareness is so transcendent, you're able to incorporate ESP. Like every Pisces sun has ESP basic. Like that's like ESP is a advanced ability, but for y'all it's basic. Like every single Pisces sun has the ability to perceive through their extra senses, extra sensory perception. And so whereas you are leading humanity as ascended masters in the discovery of the unknown through your ability to see, the sun in the ninth is going to square Saturn in your 12th to challenge this transcendence of knowledge of your own being in order to strengthen how much higher you purely develop this transformation of your philosophy. And I want to really speak to this because this is very important. The 12th house transit you're going through is your collective karmic lesson to completely transcend all of fake science. You understand the hidden knowledge that most other people around you are blind to. And so this is greatly transforming your philosophy because your understanding and knowledge of your own self is transcending, in that you're way more magical than now outdated scientific principles, 12th house Aquarius, that hold you back. And so this square with the sun will challenge how much this transformation of philosophy helps you more release old beliefs that you don't need to subscribe to anymore, and sabotage and inhibition that the sun in Scorpio through wisdom will have you see in through. And so with Uranus in your third house, you are going to step into a new cycle of beliefs relative to this manifestation of unconventional skill sets that you're manifesting physically, albeit while you're releasing old unconscious beliefs. And the Pluto sextile from 9th house to 11th house will apply this transformation of wisdom to greatly transform your social circle of friends, even more than they did last year, where you went through a full tightening of your social circle, thus bringing this release of outdated habits and an attitude, an old way of thinking, and old values that influenced your thoughts to step fully into the transformation of your lifestyle and the way you live your life, hence religion, hence philosophy. As such, that in a nutshell is how this Scorpio season will influence you relative to your zodiac sign and rising. And as a sneak peek, after we prepare for this element of apotheosis, we will kick off the ascension apotheosis process with holy ascension, my friend. And this will kick off the preparation of being ready to become the butterfly in an effort that will transform completely the inner emotions and psychic power that goes into you finally ascending, but this time with the knowledge of Aquarius that connects you directly to your celestial multidimensional self. Please give yourself a round of applause. Once again, sitting through this is very key, because this in and of itself is like a ritual. Like, you're listening to my voice with the North Node on it, and whatever you're intending, there's actual practical, tangible causality, cause and effect of this. And, all power to you, because in conclusion, okay, I just kind of want to recap. This is going to be one of the most relevant and intense Scorpio seasons of your whole life. You can say that about every season moving forward, but over the past decade, and I would say even over the next decade, this Scorpio season will still stand out because this is going to incorporate that turning point that enables you more than ever to harness the pure energy that goes into the deepening of your connections with other people. You're going to be manifesting years worth of evolution of your own supernatural abilities and deepen the wisdom that goes in to you transforming your connections with others, your self-esteeming yourself, and how you intensify the development of skills and abilities that coming into the rest of the year will see you through the final boss battle through Capricorn season and transform you completely in preparation to ascend in ways where you will actually see the higher knowledge and meaning of what this whole process has led you to. Certain occult hidden understandings of your journey will surface and challenge you greatly. Many of you will come into huge epiphanies and revelations that will make sense of things you've been going through for your whole life. And this is all to prepare you for the last 4 seasons of this year. I just can't emphasize enough with the T square with Taurus and Aquarius, how this is going to hijack you into such a deeper understanding of and transformation of yourself. You will truly feel yourself become stronger than ever. And like Jessica just said, quantum leaps, exactly. And this is definitely going to set the stage for the final Jupiter and Pisces cycle that will fully complete our transcendent development before we step into the next cycle, 2023, with Saturn and Pisces, and we really kick off the beginning of the end of the entire world. Y'all stay blessed as always. And until next time, peace. Oh, wait. Before I leave, I actually wanted to share my face. Thank you. That's actually what I meant to do with the conclusion. Thank you guys once again. I'm definitely going to make sure I show my face. I'm going to do the presentation first, and then after we can connect and share insight. But other than that, once again, how did you enjoy this webinar? I'm really enjoying this format. I think this is a lot more direct and to the point, and definitely so much more organized. So very, very grateful. Once again, when you purchase this, you will be in a position to immediately get the PowerPoint. So if you purchased this webinar, you should have received the email for the PDF. If you are part of the membership, just go to my Discord. That is how you can access the PDF. And once again, y'all stay blessed as always. And until next time, peace.